Thank you very much, Mr. Gerard Biletto, for your pitch of the vision of the sunset. That was very, very great. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a very important guest for you. He goes by the name of the Bear Man. Have you heard him? Yes, the Bear Man. Can I hear a round of applause for Bear Man? God blimey, that was late.
Thank you, Michael. Michael, thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me here. It's a special occasion. It's my first time here, as you know. I'm really honoured. I'm quite nervous, actually. I guess all that's left for me to say is, hello, everybody. How do you do? Here's my CD that I made just for you. It's been a long time, but it's finally here. I do a bit of rhyming that's nice for your ear. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, green, yellow. Some tracks are angry and some tracks are mellow. I cater for all, I'm a versatile fellow. The kids are gonna love it even more than Lego. Most defo, I'm here to entertain, and these 20 tracks are here to enterbrain. I eat plenty snacks, my style's not the same. You'll be spitting my bars when Anya's in my frame. Now, I don't wanna say, oh bummer, what a shame, like it didn't go well, like the summer and the rain. I wanna drive a blacked out Hummer in the lane. I gotta get that cash money like Little Wayne. Now, I'm here to impact like a choke slam, and have a few bucks like goats can. I deliver well like a postman. You know my style's tasty like a roast ham.
Yes. This is Moma and
Rude Boy.
And we're back again for our I can't remember what podcasts, but we've done quite a few right now.
I think this is number 6. This is a recap show. Basically, yeah, I've been delighted how it's gone so far. We've had some good guests, and we want to talk about the guests and I guess relevant topics.
Yeah, the turnout's been really amazing. I'm pleased with, I didn't really have much expectations, or not to say I didn't have much expectations, but I didn't know where it could go, and I was quite very impressed with everyone that came on. They all added something to the whole concept that me myself really didn't know, and the ages have ranged from probably as early as 20s, early 20s, to touching up to the 40s, and so on and so forth. And we've had that spectrum from that age range, and all similar mind concepts. And I think everyone that's been interviewed has been in the place that they need to be, and they've definitely been motivating for me. So they added a lot of value. One thing about all these guys, they seem to have the common denominator where they're confident. You never heard them complain or whine. They all had their different skill sets, and they seem very content with who they were. So there's no doubt about all the doubters. You look at Hence Casanova, source code. He's a young cat, fluent in German. Kai, obviously, he's fluent in Mandarin. He does his China thing. Source code did his Hungarian thing, and hence incredible, dropped some knowledge on Mexico, and some good and bad experiences he's had, but that didn't deter him. And then Archie came in on a pretty much a game tip, and just dropped some next level game. I mean, going to that what was it, a redneck bar, picking up a redneck chick. I mean, I actually wanted to ask him if he was the only black guy in that club, but maybe we'll get to that in part 2. But it's been very enjoyable and educational. Yeah, what I gathered from all of them, the common denominator is that they all had international experience, and I think that gave them a head start, but it gave them an edge on the average competition, if one wants to call it that, because the fact that they've all had international experience, some very extensive and some pretty much everyone had a certain level, and you're able to contrast those different experiences. So sometimes we get into a rut when we're in the same place and we see the same things and we're around the same people. We don't necessarily see
sorry, I have a cough because of weather changes, but we don't necessarily see the same things. And I think that the fact that they've done that, and that's something I could say to myself, has enabled them to see different things, see different opportunities in game, and I would imagine life as well, whether it's work or whatever, so on and so forth. So that's given them an upper hand in that aspect. So that's something that I felt that I could gather from them. Archie didn't speak that extensively on his travel experiences, but I do know that he's traveled, quite a bit, and the fact that he's also not first generation. Well, he is first generation American, but the fact that his parents are from, abroad, I think that always brings a certain aspect growing up, because you're going to have relatives that are not from America. So that viewpoint, it makes you bilingual. It's almost like you have Hispanics or Latinos, or some, I think in LA they call them Chicanos, or
Chicanos, yeah.
Yeah, Mexican, American-born Mexicans. But just saying that Hispanics that are born and raised in America will be bilingual. When I was in Miami, pretty much everyone there could speak Spanish, whether they were born in born outside of America or not. So what I'm saying is that those experiences, the reason they could speak Spanish is because one or both of their parents could speak Spanish. So that gave them that contrast and that ability to switch between different channels. So the international experience gives one the ability to switch between two different channels, and gives them that this gives them that ability to, once you can switch, to find your niche, or the courage to look into different areas. So yeah, let's go into some of the concepts and so on and so forth that we're going to recap and go into a little bit of depth on, because I feel that we can definitely apply some depth to some to concepts here. So let's talk about game a little bit. Rude Boy, is there any new angles of game that you feel that you're going into for this year, or anything or any new awakenings that have become upon yourself for this year?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. I started a new job, and it was a company I used to work for 10 years ago, and thanks to your interview tips there, I was able to snag the job, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's a role, but this week I actually ran into my old manager from about 15 years ago, and I recognized him. I stopped him, and I said, I called his name, and at first he didn't recognize me until I smiled, and he kind of made this comment like, "Oh, when you smiled, I knew right away who it was," and I was just sort of taken aback by that. And I think I mentioned before, smiling, a lot of black guys, I guess they have the screw face, or they're angry or whatever, they don't smile. And I guess over the last few weeks, or I've experimented with just smiling. When you go to Starbucks, just smile at the girl, and just smiling in general. I mean, smiling doesn't really, I don't like to smile like an idiot, but it definitely works. And I have a friend. Basically, I'm calling it this year, as to answer your question, 2015 is basically back to the basics and just use basic charm. Right, a lot of people, they get too caught up in themselves and their life. And I have a really good friend, and once again, he's a Caribbean, he's a Trinidadian, and I go to Starbucks with him quite a lot, and he gets free coffee from Starbucks. And why does he get free coffee? Because basically he charms the girls that are there. And other than old guys that have nothing to lose, you don't see young guys charming girls, saying like, things like, "Oh, you have a pretty face," or whatever. Guys generally, I don't know how it is where you are, but where I am, and that doesn't happen. And I think that sometimes, as you mentioned in the first podcast, with Jamaican men, and perhaps to some extent the Nigerian men, where they will speak to any lady, and they will, they may not be the best looking, they may not have the best bodies, but they definitely do have charm. And that's probably a Caribbean thing, or You know, it's a Latin American thing, but for me, it's back to the basics. Just, you know, because basically, I think what Archie said too, you have to connect, right? You have to connect with the person. You may have this great body with six pack, and you may have the perfect suit with the pockets square, and you know the you know alligator shoes or whatever, and you may have the perfect ride. But if you're not connecting with these female, then you know you're losing out. So yeah, that in terms of game is my mindset right now.
Okay. And I do agree with you, and you got me thinking as you're saying that. Yeah, huh? What was that?
Unexpected for you.
No. I was just had me thinking. Yeah, they here. I think it's also connected to being from warm places. I think I'm more vocal because of the fact that I'm in the tropics. I'm more vocal here, and my accent is received quite well. So a lot of times I'll talk and it will talk. In fact, pretty much all the time I talk, it totally neutralizes people because they look at me and there's a lot of hood cats where I'm at. Like the black guys here are very hoodish. Like I'm talking grills, and they bonics are very heavy in these ends, very heavy. So when people look at me, even though I don't, you know, I don't have tattoos and I don't have a grill, but there's still going to be a certain assumption. So when I talk, it neutralizes that. But I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that the tropics helps one to be more sociable, and I spoke with a lizard about that. A new one that I met. We went out on Friday, and I spoke the fact that the sun is like, it's almost like a therapist. Like the sun really does a lot to wash away worries and so on and so forth. So that being said, it's easier for me to flirt and so forth. And I think I've come into a certain state of mind this year because I don't like to be the person that talks about game and I'm not doing anything. So I've been, you know, I'm trying to, you know, be active. I've gone to those dance sessions, not dance sessions that were just dancing, but certain things that I spoke about in one of the other podcasts that I mentioned to people who are finding it difficult to find certain niches. And as I said, in those places you find different groups that will be more receptive. There's a lot of quite a few white lizards there, as I've mentioned, and obviously the fact that we're dancing means that I don't need to open because dancing is a part of this association. So there's a Ukrainian there that's pretty friendly with me. There's a few white Americans, maybe they're white Americans, maybe they're from somewhere else, but they've got, you know, American accents. But the point I'm making is that even though white lizards are not my preference, although I'll always take a layup, there's quite a few there, and for those who want to get into that, they can. So me saying that is that I do practice what I preach, and I'm also strategizing, since I don't really have a crew here, to start going out a little bit more on my own and just going to certain places. But in the interim, you know, I'm just start flirting a little bit more as I go to certain venues. I had to go and change my bank card the other day, and the manager there, this black chick, she was pretty friendly. So my brain was thinking, yo, you should just ask her out or something. But the fact I'm a little technical, so I don't always do it if I don't feel I have that interest. But what I can take from what you said and from others that I've experienced, like the Jamaicans, the Nigerians, the Trinidadians, the Vincentians, Grenadians, Guyanese, etc., is that flirtation is a big part of what they do, and some of them may not necessarily capitalize on everything, but they're always in that mode. So once you're in that mode, you can get a lot from it. Some of them game and get a lot of results, and they don't actually step into any clubs. They do a lot of it from day game. You know what I mean? And this is something that I learned in London growing up, far, long before I even knew of Rouge Forum. I just saw the man them on road, especially when summertime come and we be cooped up all winter. Man them would just put on their garms, put on their, their trainers, which is sneakers or running shoes to the North Americans, and the man's just walk road and just chirps up any gal them see. So me saying that is just kind of, going back to basics, as you said, and just, sticking with the foundation.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when we read the manosphere, we get caught up with, oh, we can't look this, and we can't look beta, and you can't give her too much compliments, you can't do this, but people, back to basics, just general charm. It's free, right? The compliments are free, making someone smile, and you don't always have to pick them up, but it's free. And this guy who I hadn't seen in about 15 years, he said, he recognized me from my smile. And, I think I think it was my grandmother a few years back said I had a very nice smile. But you know what I mean? It's just, compliments are free. And I think, let's start with the basics. We get too caught up in, as you would say, the semantics of little things. Oh, what car is right and what cologne is right. And if I have a 6-pack or if I have a 4-pack, do I need a 6-pack? And, ugly guys get girls, right? And it's not because of anything other than they connected with that girl, right?
I agree. And you speaking on semantics also lends to the fact that a lot of times I still say that a big part of game is the volume. Like sometimes we get caught up on these details and so forth, but we don't have enough volume to really apply anything, and the volume counts. A lot of technical people like to feel that there's a magic formula where you do this and this and you're going to get, and they start to look at percentages. But some people really go out and just, you crank up the volume as long as you've got the basics in place, and most people do, and those basics will fall into place. Like when I talk about basics, you don't chat to a girl and say, yo, I want to bugger you right now. Like that's a little too rough for this climate that we currently exist in. You know what I mean? You're gonna burn a lot of your leads. I like to look at game as sales. I've mentioned that before, and some people disagree, but I've done a lot of sales jobs in the past because those are very easy jobs to get in the Western. I want to say the West. Let's just say from where I've lived, they're easy to get because, especially if it's commission only, then they're not paying you anything, and anything you get is only a plus to them. So me saying that, as I've looked in and I've experienced a lot of sales and so on and so forth, and you look at those for who it works, and sales and game is very, very similar, and a lot of those people that do well at sales, they just one of the thing is always be closing, if that's the right term. They try to close every
ABC.
sale. Yeah, ABC, always be closing. So they'll close anyone. There's some, they don't care what the person's saying. They open and they try and close everything. And when you do that, you'll be amazed sometimes. You'll be like, Rare, I didn't know he was going to buy. I didn't know she was going to buy. That type of thing there. So when you do that, when you ask for the beats, as we call it, you'll be amazed what you get. You know what I mean? And when you do that a while, you just realize that you just have to ask for it, but at the same time, you have to get the volumes. You're not going to pick up the phone. And when I say pick up the phone, I'm still using a sales analogy. You're not going to pick up the phone if you're doing a cold sale. You're not going to knock on the first door if you're doing door to door and get your sale every day by doing that. The probability just doesn't iron out to it. But once you get into the mindset that you have to get that volume, and you just enjoy the dance, and you have your basics in place, follow those principles, you'll be very pleased with what you get. So that's something that people really need to realize. And regardless of whether it's white, you're looking for white lizards, Asian lizards, Latino lizards, Indian lizards, black lizards, the same concepts still apply. You have to ramp up your volume. And the easiest way to do it is make it a part of your life. If you're flirtatious and a salesman as a part of your life and always be closing, like I said, I've seen in my very eyes people that don't really have a lot, and they get the lashes, they get the bangs because they keep on doing it. So that's what I would take from that.
Yeah, definitely sales, and I agree. You can't argue sales. You know, you're selling yourself, you're selling a product, and with girls, you know, you're selling yourself, and the product is you, right? So, you know, it's very, very similar.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think another concept that you wanted to mention was money. What type?
Yeah,
of...
no, I just sort of came to mind. You know, how does money play into it? Do you think, or does it play into the game?
It plays into it for me. I was in Miami before, and my money situation wasn't good. You know, Miami was very disappointing to me. I expected certain things, not necessarily lizard-wise. I know once I have money, I'll be fine because I can always. And me going downtown numerous times with Nomad made me realize that Miami has a huge influx of tourists. They're there every day. They're there every day from different countries, and because it's hot pretty much 24/7, every week you'll have a batch of new people coming down there. Every week so every week that batch will be refreshed. New batch, new batch, new batch, intercepting, interlacing new batches. And a lot of people that go on holiday have that mindset that what happens in rare stays in, so on and so forth. So me realizing that you can really work on your one night close, and I had several opportunities that I know once I'm in, you know, I have things in check there, I could do it. And I have insert family members there that do all right, and they've never read one paragraph of game, but just through natural I say natural. I just think if you have a certain level of common, I don't want to say common sense because it might alienate people, but I feel that coming from places like London and so on and so forth, you just really have to step up to par. So if you come from that environment and you're there, you're going to make mistakes, but after a while you're going to get it. It's not that hard. And places like Miami give one the opportunity to really rank up volume. You know what I mean? You rank up volume because there's tons and tons and tons and tons of people passing through there. I nearly, if I had the, you know, the mobility, logistics, I could have, you know, laced this, I call it Jamaican. It was a black, because that's really what I go for, as you know. And I was just on the beach, sitting on, I think Ocean Drive, just posted up somewhere, just hollering at bear lizards coming through. And yeah, I met this chick from Philly, and she was like, yeah, you know, I think you're cute. So we exchanged digits, and she wasn't there for long. So if the mobility was there, I could have gotten that. But me saying that is that money affected my mindset for myself, and it affected just me being able to close. So I think it plays quite a major deal for me. Doesn't mean that I need tons and tons of money, but I need certain basics that are covered for myself, such as the ability for mobility, the ability to sustain my rent, my eating, and just ability to, you know, go around, travel around a little bit, buy garms, update my clothing, where, you know, pay for my gym membership. So that is my personal concept. Some people can game very broad pocket. There's a guy in Toronto I knew that never had anything, was always asking for money, and he was a white guy, and he liked black chicks only, and he never had a dime to his name, but he was always gaming, and he seemed to be doing quite well. So for some people, money really doesn't matter to them, but for me, being a lone wolf that I am, it does play a certain part in, you know, my mindset.
For sure, for sure. I just want to rewind a bit because I noticed one thing with the source code, Traveler Kai, Casanova, and Archie. They never seem to say anything bad about gaming in America, and I got the sense that they were quite happy and they were quite content gaming in America. And they never, I don't think any of them ever said anything negative towards that. I mean, source code, he's a young cat. Online game seemed to work well for him. I guess he's into that semi-hipster vibe. I think Traveler Kai, I think he was doing okay, obviously, in the States, and he just felt that what he wanted, a certain kind of woman, and he went overseas to get that. And, Casanova, I actually really enjoyed that one because that was spur of the moment, and, we didn't really prepare for that. So that was off the cuff, and that was actually my first time talking to him. I know you've hung with him and stuff like that, but I really enjoyed that because, he dropped some gems there. I think one of the comments he said it was basically when he goes to a nightclub, he feels entitled to have access to some of the better looking women there. And, obviously he's a very dark guy, and, we don't want to dwell on that. I mean, that's a non-issue, but, again, whether it's in Mexico, I believe he was in Phoenix, and you met him in Florida and stuff like that. And, he just seemed very content in his own skin, I would say, and stuff like that. And then with Archie, Archie, I think had traveled less than the other guys. I think he only mentioned he's been to a few other countries, but Archie's all over the United States. And, it seems like 1 minute he's in Brooklyn, or 1 minute he's in Washington, or, he spends time in Houston, and he just seemed very content, with his social life and stuff like that. So, does that surprise you? Anything to add to that, or?
Well, America is in fact, North America, whether you talk about Canada or you talk about America, it's a big place. And I don't know, when I speak, a lot of people start saying American, or this and that, or so on and so forth. When you really talk to them, you realize that they've not gone to different parts of America, and every state is like a country. There's some states I can't vibe with, and there's other states that I'm actually very, cool with, and I like the people that I meet, and not just on a sexual tip. So me saying that is that it's such a big part of the world that you don't necessarily need to travel to get, something. And at this point, I'm really not looking, I'm not actively seeking a solid relationship. I'm just trying to get, my nut. And if she's cool, we'll see where that goes. But if not, I'm cool. And recently, I linked this black lizard, and I hit that like three times or something on separate occasions. And I'm kind of just scoping her out, but she seemed full of shit. And I don't know if it's something this year, but I don't know. Maybe I've got a certain mentality of abundance. I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe I'm becoming acclimatized. I can't explain it, but I really didn't feel bothered. And we were going to meet. I was supposed to link her up because I said I haven't hit that in like, a couple of weeks or something. And she was like, she's trying to make it like it was bigger than it wasn't. I was thinking to myself, bitch, please, in that mindset. Like, you're not offering much more for me to, for it to be that. Because I always to the end, and maybe I think Mike CF has quoted on that. I'm not cold to lizards. Like, if I hit that, I'm still gonna try and take them out to cinema, or, for a little sandwich or something. So it don't mean like I hit that and I chip. So I'd try and do my due diligence. So she wasn't really going with that. Like, maybe she was juggling mans. Who knows? I don't really care, because, I take it whatever that person wants to give to me at this point. I take it like Tai Chi. You throw it hard, I'd redirect it somewhere else. So back to you. Throw it soft, I'll work with it. So I'm not on that, I don't really have that. I have my agenda behind, but my agenda is not, you're not going to know my agenda. You're going to throw something, I'm just going to like, yeah. So that might be, it might be in sync with my character as well as the environment that I'm in. But bottom line is I just kind of cut it off, and so that's my mentality on it. But me saying that is to mention that as you go to different parts of America and Canada, because there's a thread on Ottawa, and I've been to Ottawa a few times, and Ottawa, I had very good results in Ottawa. The white lizards there were cool. Even young ones, they could be 21. They were very open because I don't think guys in Ottawa have game at all. And there's a lot of Africans there, so I was trying to really get my Somalian flag or one of those other obscure flags that I found difficult there. But me just mentioning that Ottawa is to mention that as you travel around, especially in this part of the world, you find different results. So to just say, oh, American women suck, Canadian women suck, you haven't given it due diligence. And those who travel around to different parts can really speak on it. Now, in terms of relationships, maybe there's a uniform behavior. I can't really speak on that. But in terms of reception and vibes for getting the lash, I would say it's very night and day depending where you go.
Yeah, and to add to that too, you have a lot of guys asking me, or they ask questions on the forum about, oh, where should I go? Should I go to Poland? Well, if you want to go to Poland, book a ticket and go. I can't tell you where to go. I've never been to Poland. To be honest with you, I don't think it's a country that has much to offer. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe it has a great culture. I mean, I've been to, several other Eastern European countries, Central European countries where they had things other than women to offer. I mean, tourist sites and stuff. Maybe, Poland does have sites. I don't know. But, Polish flag, I've got that in Toronto fairly easy. So I don't feel the need to fly to Poland. But if you want to go to Poland, go to Poland. But it seems a very hot destination, and I can see why. It has a lot to offer in terms of the female aspect, and dealing with Polish women, they tend to like dark. What's the word? Is it swarthy? What's the word? How do you say that? Swarthy.
Swarthy, yeah.
Swarthy. They tend to like what? Black guys, Spanish guys.
The term swarthy actually points towards guys with that Mediterranean, Iranian hue. So not necessarily black, but I know what you mean. So when I because I write, and when I use swarthy, people think of someone who's like a dark Greek or a dark Turk, as opposed to, black is more like chocolate or deep caramel. But I know what you mean. I know you're just, vocabulary in that. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I've never really heard anybody say any. I know people that have been to Poland. I think a guy, actually Espresso, he was at the recent Toronto meetup. A quick shout out to Espresso, Nascimento, VP, and some other cats that were there. Actually, there was about 15 guys at the Toronto meetup, and it was pretty cool. Nice. Met a lot of new guys for the first time, and if I didn't get a chance to say hi to you, I apologize. I was a little bit tired, but hopefully we can do it again soon. But anyways, we're going off track there, but it was a quick shout out to the Toronto Massive. But yeah, I mean, like you're saying, if no one can answer a question, I think Poland is the latest. People are asking about Poland. People are asking about Australia. I mean, if you've got money and you've got time to go to Australia, why not go check it out? I mean, obviously, it seems to have a lot to offer. The Great Barrier Reef, wild animals, koala bears and all that kind of stuff. And I find generally my experience with Australian girls, they tend to be down. I'm not saying all of them. And again, with Polish girls, I'm not saying all of them. I'm just saying there are a few that I've met who aren't opposed to dealing with men of darker shades and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's just my little 2-cent rant, I guess.
So you saying that if someone asks you, because I feel that there's certain places that one can say, you can say, yeah, I think you should be fine. I mean, I always look at what style the person has, because there was a thread, and the person talked about going to Australia, and then they were saying, first they said it was paradise or near paradise, and they went back on their statement, and so on, so forth. So them saying that I started to ask questions because I don't. There's nowhere on earth for maybe there is. I don't know. Maybe in Southeast Asia, but for any race where you come off the plane and the lizards are just unzipping your trousers and jumping in your lap for sex. I don't think that. I think you need something at least. You need to say something. You got to lead them somewhere. So,
well, I don't think there's ever been a place like that in the history of mankind. But I think there are places where you can go, and the reception you'll get will be very, very favorable. And I think Australia is a place where there'd be certain regions. I don't know. It could be Brisbane. It could be Adelaide. It could be Sydney. In fact, I've heard Sydney. When you go to Sydney, you don't see hardly any Australians. So it sounds like parts of London to me where it's all foreigners. But are there black people living there? Not many. I had a friend who went there recently for a wedding. So he went with a girl, and he said they were with a bunch of guys, and one guy in their crew basically met a stripper, and he he barebacked the stripper. So
risky.
So I don't know, and I know a brethren of mine, dark-skinned guy, good-looking guy in London, and it was just weird. I never vibed with Australian girls for whatever reason. And that's just one of those things. I accept that. Maybe I'm not going to vibe with every girl out there, but for some reason, Australian girls rub me the wrong way. But my brethren, the guy I was just talking about, I mean, he went through them like, hot knife through butter. So again, it could just be a vibe thing. Maybe he's got the look they like and I don't, or it just could be a personality thing. But, I mean, to say that certain men won't do well in certain countries, you can't say that. I don't think
I think there's a certain correlation, but one has to bring a certain type of. Everyone has an expectation in different countries of different groups. Stereotypes that you can call them favorable stereotypes. I linked a white lizard in the UK that was like, I spoke to her and she was like, talk Jamaican to me, and I was just like, I never said I was Jamaican, but that's the experience she wanted. So,
exactly.
So saying that means that if you bring the stereotypical, the stereotype that they expect, it can be in positive favor for you. So maybe Australia, the stereotype that they expect is the black American or black North American. A lot of people, that's the sexual stereotype that a lot of, in terms of interracial, they look towards. It's either black, West Indian, usually Jamaican, or black American. Those are the common stereotypes that I hear about when I talk to people, because I like to talk to lizards and I like to keep quiet and just listen to what they say. So those are the stereotypes that they enjoy, and those are the ones that they fantasize about. So if you meet those stereotypes there, not necessarily that you've got to grill up, but some guys actually, like I think Archie was mentioning it, and a lot of guys who have traveled, I think Kai mentioned it in China, a lot of those, the African guys, Nigerians, will just, get themselves some American clothing, throw on a do-rag, throw on a hoodie, and just start swankering or swaggering like they're American. And a lot of them, they clean up off of that fake act. There's someone was telling me about this Nigerian guy in London. He'd never been to America in his life. I don't think he'd even booked a ticket to America, and he was just going on like he was Tupac and killing it with the white girls. So he was basically filling in the stereotype that they were looking for and getting it. So me saying that means when you go to these countries, or if you try and assess what type of stereotype they're looking for, I've sent you a few pictures and so on and so forth of that guy that we know.
Butcher?
Yep, he goes and he's been killing it, but he pipelines quite a bit through, I guess, Facebook and other online stuff. So I think if you pipeline through there and find out just through dialogue what they're into, because he's posted up dialogue, it's like, hey, do you wanna, can I, because he likes threesomes as well, male female, or female male. He's just a straight up freak. So he'll be like, hey, to some young things too, they might be 19, 20, what I mean? He's like, hey, you like black guys? Like, yeah, do you want, have you ever had two, at the same time? It's like, well, no, but it's interested me. So those dialogues, not saying it has to go there, but as you ask, hey, what do you like about black guys? And you start to preen and pull, you'll find out what stereotype that they like. So if you're interested in the place, maybe pipeline, have a dialogue with quite a few of them, 20, 30, because it's internet, so just be messaging enough of them, find out what stereotype they're into, and if you've got the ability, go over and try and big up the stereotype. Maybe walk with a blunt behind your ear, what I mean? Just something, like that, or fling on a do-rag. You'll be amazed sometimes. Those little tweaks will get you the poem, what I mean? Those little tweaks. So that's something that I would suggest people do, and that kind of segs into another sector that I'd like us to discuss. And I think that this is another area where I think there's a lot of gray areas, but it goes on to exercise, but I'd say more specific bodybuilding, because a lot of guys do it to increase their attraction or attractiveness to the opposite sex. So me saying that is, I read the forums and all that stuff, and to be honest, I've been working out for quite a while, and some of the stuff I read on the forum, it's pretty, I don't want to say it's weak, but I think the consensus is fairly weak in terms of knowledge of building up a physique and what to do. Like, I hear different opinions and they go all over the place. So what's your take on that? What kind of suggestions do you have, let's say, for a beginner, different body types, and so on and so forth?
Again, I'm in my mid-40s, closer to the big 50 than I am the other way. So I've been training for about 20 years plus. And when I started training, basically I was skinny and I had a belly. So the first thing I did, and funny enough, probably the nicest girl I dated was during that period, and that wasn't a problem. The reason why I started training is because my friend said, my belly was getting a bit high and I should really do something about it. So for health reasons, I got rid of the belly. And then, I always sort of stated that I wanted to have muscles. So, I did the basics. I did the basic, what everybody does, what they do, the chest, they do the leg squat, and they do of course, you focus on the biceps and all that, right? So the thing what I read about a lot of the young guys, they talk about the 5 times 5 times 5, whereas you do like deadlifts and squats and chest, and what I will say, those exercises are fine when you're young, but guaranteed when you get to my age, you will not, your body will just rebel. So doing deadlifts your lower back will give out. So lower back, sometimes I have lower back problems, not serious, because, I try and maintain my body. And in terms of squatting is a very dangerous exercise, and we all do it when we start training. We work the ego. We don't work the body, we work the ego. So you come in and you do, the 3 times 10, you do 3 sets, 4 sets, and you do squats, and then you do 2 plates, and then the big goal for chest, you try to do 2 plates. And, man, I think you and I have joked about it, where mans will say, yo, blood, how much you bench, you know what I mean? So you get caught up in the ego. So if you can, look beyond that, and working out is a lifetime thing. It's, it doesn't happen overnight. And I will say, things like steroids. There's a lot of misconceptions about steroids. I mean, MoMA, you could take whatever steroid, and I could take the same steroid, and we could get different results. And steroids doesn't make you look like, Lee Haney or Dorian Yates overnight. You still has to put in a lot of work, and there's no steroid that will give you a six-pack. Well, there is, but I mean, they're very toxic, and I would never take them myself. So, people talking about tests. Well, unless you have low testosterone, you got to be careful with that stuff. Yes, you'll get big, but there are limitations. When you take it for so many weeks, you better come off it and let your body heal. And a lot of people, they don't do that. And I dabbled in that. I know what it's about. But recently, what has worked for me, and it's probably been, it's to me, it's a miracle. The way I train right now, and I've just, again, I guess back to the earlier theme, it's back to the basics. So what I do now, I do chin-ups, pull-ups, body exercises. I do push-ups, and I actually do air squats. Now I do high volume, so I do 160 pull-ups and chin-ups. I do 160 push-ups, and I do 100 air squats to start. So the 160 pull-ups, I break up into 4 sets. So I'll do 20 chin-ups, straight to 20 push-ups, back up to 20 chin-ups, back down to 20 push-ups, and that is set 1. I do 4 sets of that. And I do the 100 air squats to start. And then I'll probably do, I guess my weak point is my calves. I've got the black man calves. So I do 160 calf raises. I break that up in different sets. So, and the results are phenomenal. And also, I'm just a few pounds shy of 200 pounds. And yeah, I mean, I get a lot of respect and all that. And in the gym, I guess the big men held me up. The steroid boys held me up. And I only do that 3 times a week, but I mean, I've been training for a long time, so this is what I find works for me. And I throw it out there to you or to anybody. How many people can even do 10 proper chin-ups? How many people can do? How many push-ups can you do? How many chin-ups can you do?
Are you talking about pull-ups with your palms facing away from you?
Yes.
Or facing towards you?
Both. I do both. So actually, I do the first that I do chin-ups, and the other ones I do, pull-ups. So palms facing out and palms facing in. So I mean, in terms of fitness level, and obviously, Mo, you're a pretty big guy, so I don't expect you to do too many pull-ups, but just an average, and the thing with push-ups is like you're doing your own weight. So I mean, I can do 50 non-stop, right? Most men I know can. And I know a lot of guys look at me now at the gym like I'm freak because, they're all in there doing the basic, tricep pull downs and all the machines. And, for me, when I look at a guy, I think a real test of his fitness is even your stomach, right? Most guys, young and old, have stomachs, right?
Yeah, I think that, you've landed some important value there. And I want to get into that on a little bit of a deeper level. The pull-ups and so on and so forth, I can't do that many. Heavy, and I spoke with my friend in the UK that I used to work out with, and he's like, yeah, you're pretty heavy, so I don't expect that much. But this is something that I got from one of the more influential books for me, just in terms of philosophy and cut and dry, was the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. I knew quite a bit before I got it, but when I got it, he filled in a few blanks for me, or a few areas where I was uncertain of, and he spoke about pull-ups. In terms of pull-ups, for those who can't do as many as Rude Boy, they can't do 20 and so on and so forth. He just said if you have a number, have that number, and that's the number that you want to get to, even if it takes you 1 times 1 times 1 to get to it. So if you're going to do 50 pull-ups for your session and you can only do 2 per set, keep doing your 2 per set, do your 1 till you get there, and as you go along you'll get better at it. So that would be something I would suggest for those who are like, oh man, I can't do 20 in a row, I can't do rare in a row, I'm not gonna do it. Do it. And pull-ups, I think, are very, very important. I always do those. There's some days I've gone to the gym, I feel like crap, and I'll at least, I'm talking on my back days when I do, because I break my workouts into the front, like the chest, maybe the shoulders. I don't really work shoulders that much because my shoulders are pretty nice, and I might work trapeziums at times because I've gotten good feedback on trapeziums, and a lot of guys don't have that. I've had lizards say, wow, I don't know what that is, but I like it. And I'm like, okay. So
you mean, sorry, that's the traps, right?
Right,
Traps?
right, the traps.
Yeah, okay.
So I have some, I know some guys who don't really have traps. They just got it straight and then it goes into shoulders. But my trapeziums can be pretty developed. When I look at them now, they're okay. I haven't really worked them, but I have the ability to develop them. So those are stuff that I do on my chest day. So I'll do the chest, different angles, the front, the incline and the decline, and then I'll do trapeziums, and I don't work on the shoulders at all. And then I'll probably throw in triceps in there, and sometimes I might do abs, but I'm a little bit lazy on that. I'm trying to get into that more, but I'm doing a little bit more cardiovascular. And my back days, some days if my back days I'm like, I'm really tired, I don't want to do anything, I'll at least do my pull-ups, if anything, and leave the gym. So pull-ups are a staple of the upper back workout. So I always do my pull-ups, and those have definitely shown fruit. So those are things I do.
Pull-ups, certically. They're pull-ups for your lats. I mean, my lats right now, I'm more than satisfied. Your arms, your lats, and then combine that with the push-ups where it works your tris and your chests. I mean, basically it's an upper body workout, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And as I think I've mentioned before, my lower body is pretty, it's defined. I'm pleased with my lower body, so I don't necessarily have to work those. Just me running alone just gets development there, and I've had roid cats look at that and be like, yeah, you're nice. You know what I mean? In that aspect there. So
yes.
I know that, and I've gone throughout, different parts of the world with really heavy gym users. So I know what parts I'm like, this area could work on, and so forth. And we all have our strengths and weaknesses. But me mentioning that and going into exercise, it helps tremendously, and you have to market that frame. And if I look at things and I look at just wearing the right shirt that accentuates that framework, once you've worked out, you can close easier. And I've had several examples. So it's all about before and after. So for those who are like, I don't want to talk to her, or I'm feeling I have approach anxiety, rare, which happens to all of us. It happens to me at times, and I feel disgusted at myself. But it happens sometimes. It depends on how I'm feeling. I'm not a chatty type of brer all the time. So sometimes I'm really, and those are always the days where the opportunities present themselves. But having a nice physique, it raises your notches several levels, and it actually gets one to be approached. And I can give an example. I was in some place I went to in Miami, and there's this chick there, because Miami's pretty extreme. She does Miami TV, and her name is Jenny Scromalgia or something like that. She always goes around, and she, the TV, the cameras are following her, and her tits are always out That's how wild Miami is. So I'll see the tits and, you know, the nipples, and I'm like, Ray, what's going on here? But anyway, you know, I'd been doing my workout session, wore a nice little tight black shirt, went out, tried to approach some Latin chick. She's going on long on her phone. So I approached a Russian chick that was from New York, and I was talking to her. Then I kind of moved a little bit through the venue, and then this Jenny chick just came up, kind of grabbed my arm, and she was like, you know, hey, how you doing? Blah blah blah. What do you want to say to Miami? And the cameras are on me. And she was like, I know she asked if I could speak Spanish. I was like, no, I can't. I'm from London. But me saying that is that I'm certain now, due to my tenure of working out, I know the before and after, and I know the fact that me wearing that and having a nice physique just triggers something instinctual in lizards. It don't matter if you're black, blue, or purple, or yellow, or green, or indigo. When you've got a nice physique, race becomes blurred. So all you lot who are listening and you're like, I want to do this, I want to get closer to this one and that one, so on and so forth. If you get your physique in order and just buy a medium shirt that can go over and really much highlight your frame, that plays a huge part in game. And every time I do it, you know what I mean, I can literally look at the before and after to it. Every time you do it, it's like a nice pair of tits and ass to guys. You can see the most conservative, the most reserved CEO, his mind is going to flicker if he sees a woman with a nice frame, and almost subconsciously, some people just don't have the discipline to necessarily hold that frame. They'll have to, maybe they might let something slip, their behavior slip, and so forth. So the exact same thing occurs with lizards. Most lizards, 90 something% of them, can appreciate a good body. There's some that are like, ugh, I don't like his face. I've heard that. I don't like his face, but he's got a great body. And I think that woman...
You've actually heard them say that?
I've heard that. I've heard them say that. Even I heard that Heidi chick, the one who laced Seal, I think she said that, but maybe it was she saw his package. I'm not sure if that was bundled into the deal. But I mean, not knocking the brother Seal, but he doesn't exactly have the greatest face. You know the singer, right?
Yeah, but obviously he's a singer. He sings. He's got that.
Yeah, but the thing is, he got a woman that was she pregnant or something? I don't know if she was just taught, but
she was pregnant.
Okay, all right, then throw that one out the window then. But me saying that is, I've seen guys, and I'll look at someone who, if they've got a nice frame, I'm not a hater. I'll look, I'll be like, okay, this breast, he's put in that work, and I'll look, and I've seen lizard freeze that split second where, because lizards are the best actors, and they're the best actors because they get attention continuously. So now they can become well fluenced in their BS, so on and so forth. Some of them, you know, are straightforward, some are not, most are not in this hemisphere, but they become frozen if they see a nice physique, and I've seen it before my very eyes, and it makes me laugh because it cuts through all this stuff that we talk about. So I'm saying that mentions the importance of working out. You saying certain things are dangerous, or you feel that they'll feel it later on. One of the advice I want to give to the starters is really get into stretching, and if possible, try and get into yoga. Whether you think it's corny, whether you think it's a lot of lizards in there, don't really go in there and look towards, necessarily look at the fact that you're trying to get with lizards. But if you get into stretching and you get into yoga, I think being supple makes everything a lot more easier. Enables you to recover faster. Your body, your muscles move they moved through an optimal movement pattern, and you having that will reduce impact and so forth, and the fact and the chances of you adhering to an incorrect posture or form when working out. So I'd say really get into stretching, yoga, whatever it is, whatever art form that involves stretching all your muscle parts properly and thoroughly on a regular basis, do that and really get into the working out. That can help in it.
And yeah, and massages too, right along those veins. I mean, treat your body, right? It's not just about lifting, like you said. It's about stretching. It's about yoga. I have to stretch now because I just otherwise I'm gonna pay for it afterwards, right? So now again, I train my body. I don't train ego. I only go 3 times a week because, quite frankly, I go hard, right? I go hour nonstop, and any more than that, it takes my toll. And coming out to the summer months now, I'll probably play soccer for the cardio. So, and again, I don't want to get injured doing that. So,
yeah.
And then also, sorry to cut you. And yeah, with the ladies, I mean, I can't really add to what you said. You said it perfectly. I know on a personal level, when I was in my best shape, I had, strippers that would just literally grab at me, right? So, I mean, there's no better compliment than that, right? If you have strippers that aren't really saying anything and they come up to you and grab you and get physical with you, these are girls that make money with their bodies, right?
Yeah, and those women, the fact that they make money with their body, they're used to seeing a lot of different things. So
yeah,
they're used to playing the game. So for them to come to you, even though they're playing the game, means that you've gone beyond that, because you know what I mean. That you've gone beyond what their occupation brings to them. You know what I mean. So that in essence is huge. It's huge. What was the other thing I wanted to add in terms of physique?
And I will, sorry, but while you're thinking there, I will add, I guess the last encounter or the person I'm dealing with right now, they kind of made some comment where they said, I guess they saw my legs or my thighs, and the comment was, "Oh, and you've got legs as well." So again, work your legs. Legs are half your body. You increase your testosterone by doing leg workouts. So please, guys, don't be one of those guys that just does arms and chest. Work your legs. It's not an attractive muscle, but it it's very effective, and get proportionate, right? Because girls do notice, right? People do notice.
It's guys may not think it may be due to all the the Johnny Bravo cartoons, Roger Ramjet and all them men there, where they just draw a big chest man with big arms and then some twigs for legs. But women definitely notice those. They notice glutes, yeah, you can really work it. I think that a nice physique, often, like you were saying that you had good results before you started working out, you were slim with a belly, etc., etc. But I think often there's times where having a really nice physique will scare off certain lizards, quite a few of them, because lizards at the very core, a lot of them don't have that level of confidence. The only reason they seem confident is because when you're approaching, and a lot of times a lot of guys approach, and there's a big it's a lizard calling me.
Speaking of lizards.
So yeah, a lot of times when guys approaching lizards, it almost validates them. So we look at a woman, she wears these thongs, she wears tight jeans, she wears a bra, push-up bra, or a bra that really pushes out her C, D cups, whatever, lipstick, nice hair, and we place her on this pedestal. We're placing her on this pedestal, but really at the core, a lot of them don't have that confidence. So when you now match them now, because now you've gone beyond just a dude coming up, you're now piquing their sexual interest by having a great body. You've cut through race, you've cut through social relationships. You'll find that it cuts down to that core, and it scares a lot of them off. And me speaking to quite a few lizards and so on and so forth, and mentioning I'm working out, I've seen a little bit of a change in the conversation. So actually now, sometimes I don't mention that I work out. I'll just kind of say that I've got a natural frame. You know what I mean? Like if they ask,
I've used that one. The girls have said, "Oh, do you work out?" I said, "No, I'm just born like this." And you know, it's not really being arrogant. It's just kind of like, what do you call it? It's just being, you know, I guess, yeah, I guess it's being arrogant. You know what I mean? But it's just girls just, you know, they take it for whatever. But anyways, continue.
yeah. So I just think that it scares off a few of them. So at times we think that you know, a lot of guys might think, well, I'm bar from hench and it's not really working, or rare this and that, but it actually intimidates, you know, a lot of lizards, because now you've actualized your value as a male. You're now at the peak of a male, because you always high value as a male, but now physically your marketing, or your values now platformed at a very obvious level. Because at a male, you have an inherent level, just being a man itself has its own value. But now when you have that physique, it's like, this is my value right here, right now. And a lot are intimidated by that. So I think that, you know, when you have that, it can scare off a certain few. But, you know, if you...
But it would also attract certain girls that you would like to get. Right?
Yeah, so I was going to mention that.
It
actually brings in, you know, a better quality. So that's what I like about working out, and I don't know if I mentioned that before, is as you get to that point, it has multi-value to it. The first thing, you also deter, you know, certain males that may want to try. Now, I'm not saying that it means you can go anywhere and no one's going to step to you. That's not what I'm saying. Nothing is absolute. You've always got nutters out there who don't care. Yeah. You always got gunman, knife man, rare. But I'm saying that if all things fair, someone looks, they're like, yeah, I want to knock someone out today. I want to knock a pussy all out today. They're more likely to want to go for the skinny person or the less physically able person, and that's just human nature. If Mike Tyson and Woody Allen are in a club and there's an opportunist there, and I'm talking Mike in shape, I mean, now he still looks intimidating, but let's say 21-year-old Mike Tyson peak, you know what I mean, or 19-year-old Mike Tyson when Cuss was training him and Teddy Atlas was training him and he was all ripped up. If you put him and Woody Allen there and there's someone saying, you know what, someone has to get knocked out tonight, he's gonna look, he's gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna go for Woody Allen, because I don't know who that guy, and we're talking, they don't know who these guys are. They're gonna look, you know what, I don't know who that brother with the thick neck is, but I don't, you know what I mean, I'm not really looking for that type of thing tonight. I'm going for Woody. You know what I mean? So that deters that. Doesn't prevent, it deters. So now you've got that aspect. Then you go obviously on the aspect of attracting certain types of women. You might, you know, the ones who are less confident, like the fives, or what they call them in San Francisco, the 69ers, the sixes who think they're nines.
I never heard of that one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, it was one of the Rush threads or something. He kind of posted it up, like someone just said, Bear 69ers in San Fran. But yeah, a six who thinks they're a nine or goes on like they're a nine is really fronting. They know they're a six, but they're pretending they're a nine. So those sixes will probably fall to the side, and the real sevens, the real eights, who've always been sevens and eights and always know what they are, more of them will start to come to the forefront. In general, not guaranteed, but now you're just improving your probability. And what you want to do in game, in life, in anything is just improve your probability so that you feel good when you make the same attempt as others do. So that's what I wanted to mention in regards
and to add to that, sorry, I hate to cut you off there, but because I always forget my points, but to add to that too, when you're walking with your girl, right? You know, you want other men to know that, listen, don't even try nothing, right? I'm with this girl, you know, don't even try and make me look stupid or anything. Don't even try your crap. Yeah, she's good looking, or maybe she's not good looking, or maybe she has a nice booty, but, you know your place, right? And I think working out, and, you know, when you work out, it's like, it's your brand, right? So I think you mentioned just now about marketing, you know, you're a MoMA, you're a brand, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you know,
And
it's
what does that brand say? You know, you're this, you're that, you're educated, you're well traveled, you're well spoken, you know, you're British, you're whatever, African background, you know, you do this, you like to play ball, you're educated, you like to read, you like to write, you know what I mean? You're a brand, right? You know, you work out and you know, you're presenting yourself in a certain way, right?
yeah, and and the fact that I mean, for me, working out, because I don't sexualize conversations that well. I'm more on the intellectual tip a little bit. I'm still trying to tweak it a bit. I'm more a little bit more flirtatious these days, but normally I'm not that. And maybe the fact that I'm not a smoker, I'm usually not in the VIP section, so I don't have those certain elements that people associate with, you know, the rebel. You know what I mean? A lot of people have, you know, they smoke and so on and so forth. It shows off a rebellious type of nature, and a lot of lizards are attracted to that rebellious type of male. Me compensating for doing that is to work out, because when I've got that physique, it's it's signaling a certain thing, so I can peak a conversation, or I can escalate a situation without, you know, I can escalate a situation without having to, you know, necessarily do those things that I may not want to do. So that's my take on it. There's you know, threads on working out. We could talk about for hours about different sessions, but that's one of the things what I want to say is very important, you know. And if one even may care to mention, I think black males may, you know, have a certain propensity for having, you know, one of the best physiques going around. Um, there's a friend of mine. He's very quite slim, maybe in the 160, 170 range, and quite tall. I'd say 6'1", 6'2". And I told him if he wants to, you know, improve or make things easier for himself, he should really start working out. And it goes to that Nascimento thread, because he's lean already. So as he works out, you're going to see everything, and it's going to help in him talking to lizards. He's going to attract lizards and so on and so forth. So that's my take on working out there. What was the other thing that was going on, Rude Boy, that we're going to discuss?
Do you want to discuss that topic, or you want to leave that? Do we want to touch that one, or
We can.
do we
I
want to
mean,
wrap up?
I don't have any. There's a thread going on about lizards on Instagram who are willing to. They're willing to take a 20K payment or so forth, probably negotiable, to go to Dubai for to have them man shit on them, innit? Group shit, or is it a
Yeah,
one-on-one?
that's sleep with dogs and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, sleep with dogs too? Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I think everyone, I won't say everyone has their price, but yeah, I think a lot of people have their price. There was something I was reading, maybe, I'm going to say 5 years ago, and there's an NFL player that would pay chicks about 3 grand to shit on them. And I think he'd get them, put them in a bathtub, and I don't know if he'd eat up before. And he was a big guy, 260. I don't know if he's 6'3" or something like that. Not that it matters. I don't.
yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't matter if you're 160 or 260.
yeah.
But he'll pay him about 3K to shit on him in a bathtub or something. So there's
Lot of mercy.
yep, there's those freaks out there, man. Like, you know what I mean? So, I mean, what's your? I think one of the things that shocked a lot of guys is that they've on the forum, and sometimes we pedestrianize these lizards, and there's even guys who have gotten on me for saying lizard, and I say it, but I don't have hate. I just say it in a jovial fashion. But there's still some
Yeah,
guys who have certain things behind them, so they would go on about me saying lizard. And there was a guy called Puss Crook who
yeah.
who just called them whores Puss Crook was hilarious. I don't know what happened to him, but anyway, he was very, very, very. His language was very, very volatile. So it kind of peaks into a lot of guys who have this defensive mode about lizards, and I think the fact that you see all these fine chicks that are willing to, and I think the one talked about she had her womb removed so the man could come inside her as many times as he want. It kind of shattered this notion that we have, idyllic notion that we've got of lizards being these angelic creatures. So the shitting thing really put them in a different light. I mean, what's your take on it? What did it surprise you?
Oh no, I know, I've known about that for a long time. I just want to sort of, I think a lot of guys are saying those Arabs. Let me just set the record straight. It's happening in your backyard. Okay, there are guys there with money, just like you said, the NFL guy, and he's not the only one. And there, we saw the Prince Andrew thing recently with the underage girls.
I didn't see that. Which one was
Prince
that?
Andrew
was it in the hotel when he was naked, or was that something different?
Oh no, you're talking Harry.
Oh, okay. Well, them royals they're freaks anyway.
Yeah, and Prince Andrew is his uncle.
Okay.
Randy Andy? Remember Randy Andy?
I didn't follow the royals that well.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it's just not an Arab thing. It goes on all over. And to what you were saying, a lot of guys put these certain women on a pedestal, and there's actresses that are part of that scene. And so the whole Monaco, Cannes Film Festival, these guys on their yachts, and I think some guy explained it. I mean, this is the dark side of the world that we live in, right? So, and yeah, I mean, it's morally wrong. What can you say? But it happens, and it happens all over, and that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, me growing up in the UK, there's a lot of perverts there, you know what I mean, if you want to call it that, and a lot of suppressed behavior. So they give it a good one in public in terms of, we do disprove of this and that. But once the doors, yeah, I'm telling you, once the doors are closed, there's a lot of freaks out there, and they do all sorts of shit. And I've read profusely. I read a lot, not as much as I used to, but I used to be in the library a lot. And you read different stuff, and you know what I mean, and it seeps into their literature, you know what I mean. So they get up to all sorts of stuff, and those who are privileged, who have money, you know what I mean, the world is their oyster. They've never they can, it's almost like you got monopoly money, you've got a printer in your house, and you print a few bills and you can get someone to do what they want. So they can do a lot. And those who have traveled to third world countries where your currency is strong, not saying that you need to do that, but I'm just saying, look at how much you can do, or how you're revered when you go to certain countries where they're struggling per se, and you're coming from the West or first world. Look at how they revere you, or how they look to you. So if you look at that power you've got, then imagine if you were just like, I want to do this and that. And there's a lot of people that do that. The Brits do that a lot. So when I saw the Arab stuff, I was like, okay, ain't nothing new to me. But I guess for our cousins and brothers here in North America, that's a surprise, But for me, I'm just like, okay. Now I guess Instagram is the new form of, because before it was just word of mouth. Yeah, it's like, you fancy making some money. Oh yeah, what do I have to do? Well, I have a pit bull, and and a case of diarrhea. What do you want to do? You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those there.
Oh man,
it's crazy.
Man. I know in certain movies they've actually talked about it. I think there was that TV show Homeland. They had an episode on that, and then they had the movie Taken, the first movie Taken. In the end, it was just some Arabs, right? Some rich guys trying to buy his virgin daughter, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and I know there's a big market for underage girls, and girls that go missing. I'm sure half of them end up in other countries doing this kind of stuff. So it's it's a seedy world, right? But all I'm after is one nice girl to call Mrs. Rude Boy. I know you've done a Boy Junior too, right? So
What's that?
a youth man, Rude Boy Junior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Well. Yeah, we wrap this one up. So we've got. I put out a. I don't know. My Detroit players. Did he reach out to you?
He didn't. He didn't. I think he put up something in the in one of the threads. He said he PM'd you, so I'm not sure if you got a chance to look at that.
Yep, and we'll try and connect with him. And today we're going to go off the board a little, and I'll leave that for you, Moma, but you're going to reach out to Scotian, I think. I've never met him, I know you have, and I'd like to hear what he has to say, So we're, it's guys that have asked me, basically, it's just not a black thing, it's a man thing. So Scotian is well-traveled guy, has a lot of knowledge, and I'd like to hear what he has to say. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that works. Yeah. Definitely works. He's a cool cat, so I have no issues with that.
Okay, well, Rude Boy is out. Till next time.
Yep, me too. Moma going. So, yep, to the listeners, thank you and peace.